Right then. So, we're about to read a fanfic. The You Are Ex-God fanfic. Use your imagination. This was written by a good friend, Tori, but she is not present today. May we have a yeet for her before we begin.
Yeet. That was a very sad yeet.
Because we are sad.
Can we get a bigger yeet for Tori?
Alright.
Yeet!
Yeet!
This is so sad. Can we get 100 likes?
No.
Alright, how about we just start... How about we start the fanfic now, yeah?
Should I mute? Nah, shit. Should I mute so the bird sounds aren't in the background?
If you wanna.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, let's go.
Oscar, shut the fuck up.
Oh, fuck.
If you're, how about if you're not reading, just read.
Oh no.
Alright, yeah, let's do that. If you're not reading, just mute yourself.
Alright.
Alright.
This is already going great.
Right,
Okay, ready?
let's go. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yoa.
God said softly as he gently brushed the tall midget's cheek.
Shut the fuck up.
Yoa opened his mouth to let out a small ironic scream, but was stopped as God shoved Yoa's fist down the sad man's throat. Yoa, who no longer had a gag reflex due to his constant worrying, stared at God with pure confusion in his eyes, while God had a mix of fascination and horror swirling in his powerful gaze.
What the fuck, Yoa?
God asked weakly, feeling all his holy Christian power being drained from him as he watched Yoa slowly swallow his own arm.
Dude, stop.
But Yoa didn't stop. He just kept slowly slurping his arm up like a fucking noodle until he had swallowed it whole. Once his arm had been sucked out of its socket, Yoa turned to face God and his eyes flashing with mischief and a hint of lust.
No.
Said God, slowly backing away from his hands raised.
Stay back, you bastard!
His words had no effect on Yoa, who had dropped to all fours and was slowly stalking towards God, letting out a hungry growl. God was terrified.
Stay back, you unholy beast! I command it!
God shrieked. Yoa didn't listen, nor did he stop. In fact, the insult thrown at Yoa only seemed to further his hunger and his rage, as he let out a furious roar and began sprinting at God, still on his hands and feet. God was suddenly overcome with memories of how in his youth he had been harassed by a large angry frog who called herself Tori, and how Tori had chased him down the halls of heaven, wanting to lure him. Back then, God had managed to escape by running down the thousands of staircases in heaven, or by just throwing himself over the railings of said staircases and landing face first down on the bottom floor. But there were no staircases or railings now. There was only Yoa and his only unholy desires. God stiffened back, a horrified and saddened sob, as he began dashing away from Yoa, who was still fully intent on boring him. Then he froze, his heart and stomach dropping. He knew, as hard as it was to admit, that the only way he'd be safe from Yoa was if Yoa was gone. God turned to face Yoa, who was rapidly approaching in an uncomfortable-looking hobble run. His heart broke as he watched his once beloved boy toy, for he had become an uncontrollable beast. God stood still and raised his chin, breathing in deeply as he fought back tears.
There's no other way.
He whispered to himself.
There's no other way!
Yoa was only feet away now, letting his out-hungered growls that chilled God to the bone.
I'm sorry, my love.
God had said quietly as Yoa grew closer and closer. His voice was heavy with emotion.
I'm so sorry.
Yoel leapt up, going for God's throat, but God and his plan were too fast. In one switch motion, God grabbed Yoel by the man bun and with a single swing yeeted him into the air, then watched as Yoel's body soared into the distance before disappearing into the clouds. As soon as he lost sight of Yoa, God fell to his knees and buried his head in his hands, sobbing. Emotions swirled inside him like a raging hurricane, guilt and grief being the strongest of them all. He already missed Yoa, and couldn't help but feel remorse for launching him into the atmosphere, even if it was what he had to be done. God's heart was aching, sending sharp and waves of pure agony through him. Why did the right thing always hurt? God slowly lifted his head from his palms to look up at the sky, tears running down his cheeks.
Good night, sweet prince. Prince.
What a fucking ending. Get out of my ice cream.
Honestly, Tori should start doing this for a living.
Yes.
Oh
my
god.
I was so confused when there was no one reading the line and I was like, should I continue?
You did it. You did it well.
The internet is against us. The internet
Yeah.
connection.
Clearly.
It is very much against us.
That's cool though. We can.